What if I told you that deep within your body lies a sentinel, a point of energy that holds the secrets of your most ancient spiritual energy? What if that often overlooked muscle, the perineum, were not just biological tissue, but a portal through which the soul can spiral upward, illuminating every vertebra like lamps in an inner temple? From the depths of the earth to the highest heavens, there is an invisible path that few have consciously traveled. It is the path of ascending energy, the journey from root to light. And it all begins with breathing. But not just any breathing. We're exploring a sacred practice, root light breathing, a technique that awakens the inner fire and transforms it into clarity, presence, and creative power. In this video, we explore one of the most profound and misunderstood energy practices. It's not just about breathing correctly. It involves activating a subtle current that transforms matter into consciousness, allowing sexual, instinctive, and visceral energy to rise like a serpent of light toward the heart, mind, and beyond. And all of this originates in a seemingly simple act, directing relief to the root. Most people live disconnected from their foundations, walking without roots, acting without support, thinking without energetic structure. As a result, decisions lack solidity, commitments waver, and the soul feels suspended, scattered, and fragmented. But those who learn to breathe from the perineum, consciously tensing the lower center and directing relaxation upward, discover something no theory can fully explain. The body becomes a conduit, instinct becomes light, and the soul becomes an ascending river of pure consciousness. In this revelatory journey, we explore the mystical and spiritual foundations of this hidden point in our anatomy, its profound symbolism in various cultures, and how breathing can be used as an alchemical key to awaken latent energy. We'll explore the effect this technique has on your energy centers, what it feels like when your energy begins to rise, and what happens when the fire of your root touches the light of your higher consciousness. Prepare to take a fresh look at your body and discover a forgotten power within your essence. For when you breathe from your root, you not only saturate yourself with oxygen, but you also live. And what awakens is not just energy, but the soul reconnecting with its true axis. Since time immemorial, wise cultures have understood that the human body is more than a biological system. It is a sacred map, a living temple, each part of which contains a dimension of existence. And at the base of this temple, precisely between the anus and the genitals, is the perineum, known in some traditions as the lower seal, root, or simply the serpent's portal. This region was recognized by various spiritual schools as the seat of primordial life energy. Yogis called it Muladhara, the root chakra, associated with the color purple, the earth element, and the principle of survival. However, this center was not only a point of connection with matter, it was also the nest of the Kundalini, the coiled serpent that, upon awakening, ascended the spine to illuminate all the higher centers up to the lotus at the crown of the head. However, the most telling thing is that this serpent does not activate randomly. Ancient tantric texts and Kriya Yoga treatises explain this clearly. Conscious breathing from the root is the key to its liberation. This is not a shallow breath, but a sacred act of deep grounding, where relief becomes a spark that ignites the body's latent fire. In the Taoist tradition, the perineum was called Hui Yin, the meeting point of yin, and was considered the body's connection to the earth's energy. In Taoist breathwork practice, masters taught gently contracting the perineum on the inhale, as if closing an energetic door, and then allowing that energy to rise like vapor to the upper organs on the exhale. This voluntary contraction was not a simple muscular tension. It was a way to activate the inner fire, to seal the vital energy and redirect it towards spiritual expansion. In the West, there are also veiled references to this knowledge, albeit in a different language. The alchemists spoke of the secret fire that lies beneath the earth and must rise through the inner tree to produce the philosopher's stone. Is not this inner earth the body itself? Is it not the hidden fire, that instinctive impulse that sinks into the root and must be transmuted? Even in the most occult Christian mysticism, monks taught practices of silent prayer where relief sinks into the lower center, then rises to carry the prayer to the heart, and from there to heaven. The pattern repeats itself. Power resides at the base, but consciousness must direct it upward. Without this movement, energy stagnates and transforms into compulsive desire or chronic fear. But when relief awakens the guardian of the root, an upward path opens and the entire body transforms into a column of light. Breathing from the root is much more than a simple physiological act. It is a key that unlocks the inner temple, an invitation to the soul to awaken from the denser to the more subtle. And like any sacred art, the root light technique is not mastered through repetition, but through deep attention, devotion to the invisible, and an inner attitude of reverence toward oneself. To understand how this practice works, imagine the body as a living pillar like a cow, a bamboo from which divine wisdom rises. At the base of this pillar is the dam, that tiny point between the physical and the energetic. There the fire lies dormant. This is where the journey begins. The first step is to ground your awareness. This means focusing all your attention on the base of your body, where it touches the chair, the floor, or, in the lotus position, the air. Imagine that this point is not flesh but a door. Don't try to open it abruptly. Just stay there and listen. This silence is its language. Now begin to breathe consciously. As you inhale, draw the air into your lower abdomen and allow it to gently expand. Also, gently and steadily contract your perineum, as if you were drawing energy from the earth. This contraction shouldn't be forced. It's more of an invitation than a command. The important thing is to feel something move deep within yourself. When you press on this center, like a fire receiving oxygen, while maintaining this light activation, imagine a spark of white or golden light igniting at your root. With each inhale, this spark grows. With each exhale, the energy moves up your spine like a dancing, coiled serpent. This is the first phase of the root light technique. Turn on hold intensification. Many practitioners report a sensation of warmth, vibration, or slight pressure at the base of the body. This is not imaginary. It's an energy that has awakened and is now seeking its path. Some even feel a slight tremor in their spine, a sort of echo of the inner serpent. By breathing and repeating this cycle, your body becomes a conduit, and like an alchemical still, transforms the dense energy of the sexual center into refined energy. This process is neither suppression nor sublimation. It is a conscious transformation. It takes the most primordial element, the root, the instinct, the vital impulse, and offers it as nourishment to the soul. A key element of this practice is that food is only the vehicle. Intention is the trigger. Breathing is not enough. You have to know why you breathe, where this energy comes from. Some direct it to the heart to connect desire with love. Others serve as an interlude to awaken inner vision. Still others, as a culminating moment to connect with unified consciousness. It all depends on the goal. But whatever your goal, the path always starts from the roots. That first step is no longer a technique. It's a ritual. Every breath is a step on an invisible staircase. Every contraction of the perineum is a gesture of sacred power. You are training your body to remember its original function. We are a bridge between the earth and the light. When we activate the root center through conscious breathing, we are not simply moving air or tensing our muscles. We are participating in a mystical act, the awakening of the sacred fire that resides deep within the being. This fire, symbolized in many cultures by a serpent, a dragon, or an inner flame, does not seek to consume, it seeks to liberate. The rise of this energy along the spine is not immediate, nor is it always noticeable from the start. It is a subtle dance, sometimes slow, sometimes fast, that responds to your presence, your purity, and your devotion. Like water rising from the roots of a tree, this energy begins to seek space, nourishing each energy center. On a physical level, the first thing many people notice is increased vitality. Breathing easily activates the autonomic nervous system, boosts circulation, oxygenates deep tissues more efficiently, and strengthens the pelvic floor. This is an area many overlook. But beyond biology, there's something the electrocardiogram can't measure: the feeling of being more in one's body, a reconnection to embodied presence, as if the energy here is suddenly restored. On an emotional level, old tensions are released. The root is the center where we usually repress what we perceive as base: fear, desire, shame. When this region is consciously activated, these memories begin to mobilize, not to torment you, but to be acknowledged and transformed. Emotions, once a raging fire, now transform into luminous flames. Fear becomes strength, Desire becomes creative impulse. Guilt becomes judgment. Shame, luminous humility. Mentally, the practice of root light eliminates constant noise. The energy that usually escapes through obsessive thoughts, doubts and distractions begins to focus. And like anything that is concentrated, it strengthens. The mind becomes clearer, less reactive. Intuition blossoms like a flower that speaks for itself. This isn't magic, but rather the natural effect of a fundamental reorganization of your energy field. However, the most transformative part occurs spiritually, practiced with sustained intention. This technique opens previously closed channels. One of the most profound effects is the feeling of inner unity. The sexual is no longer separate from the spiritual. The body is no longer an obstacle to meditation, but its most sacred instrument. The self is no longer divided into higher and lower, higher and lower. Everything is aligned like planets in conjunction. This alignment is not always pleasant. Sometimes energy rises too quickly or touches unhealed internal wounds. It's therefore important to act with respect and without constraint, to listen to your body, to rest when needed, and to anchor your practice in habits that promote expansion. Breathing, a fundamental light, is like opening a dimensional door. You don't know which part of yourself will return with renewed light and which will die in the process. At the last minute, don't use this technique as an escape or a shortcut to ecstasy. Used greedily or unnecessarily, energy can become unpredictable, but if you use it with humility, love, and determination, you will discover that the true master is not in a book, a temple, or a guru, but in your spine. For with every breath from the root, you are saying, "I am ready to set my temple ablaze." And with each exhalation, you declare, "I am ready to be the light that rises from the earth." The root light technique should not be limited to a single meditation session. To unleash its full power, it must penetrate the interstices of everyday life. When upward alignment becomes natural, a silent pulse that vibrates as you walk, work, and interact, energy no longer depends on practice. You embody it. Here are 5 practical ways to integrate fundamental awakening into every action of your day. Begin each morning with conscious light. Before calling or addressing your worries, sit on the edge of your bed, elevate your feet, close your eyes, and breathe deeply 3 times into the center of your perineum. Feel the gentle contraction. Imagine the embers burning. And as you exhale, visualize a thread of light rising to your heart. Don't seek thrills, but rather consistency. This 3-minute ritual will elevate your energy field and create a protective seal for the rest of the day. Then return to the source each time you change activities. Many energy gaps occur during transitions, such as leaving the house, starting a meeting, or driving. Each time you notice a change, perform a micro-contraction of the pelvic floor and a gentle alignment toward the solar plexus. It's like adjusting the flame of a light bulb. Stop the light from flickering. With practice, this contraction of memory becomes as automatic as blinking. Third, transform physical fear into creative fire. If tension builds up in your body, perhaps from traffic, conversations, or arguments, don't let it explode. Take a deep breath, direct your breath toward your roots, and as you exhale, imagine the dense energy rising toward your center like a purified fire. Hold your attention there for 2 seconds. Transform cortisol into clarity. This gesture transforms every micro-stress into alchemical micro-medicine. Fourth, integrate the spiral movement. The serpent of light doesn't rise in a straight line. It rotates. As you walk or stretch, slowly and gently rotate your head and hips in circles. Synchronize your inhalation with the rotation on one side and your exhalation with the rotation on the other. This movement opens the space between the peaks and allows the flow of energy to rise freely. 10 conscious circles are enough to reactivate the flow. End Thursday with an inner fire. Before going to bed, lie on your back. Place one hand on your hairline and the other on your heart. Inhale and contract your perineum. Exhale and allow the heat accumulated during the day to rise to your chest. Stay there, breathing slowly until you feel your warm pulse quicken. This nighttime bonfire purifies the remnants of the day's energy and nourishes your lucid dreams. By practicing this way, light root breathing becomes the foundation of your routine. It's not an add-on, but the pivot that harmonizes everything else. Your food is better digested. Emotions are processed more fluidly. Ideas sparkle with enthusiasm. Discipline is not born of rigidity. It arises from the delirium of feeling illuminated from root to mind. And when the luminous serpent becomes a habit, you discover that every step, every word, every silence breathes with you from root to light. Imagine for a moment that the relief you feel not only penetrates your lungs, but penetrates deeper, reaching an old forgotten door. A door made of energy, not bones. When you consciously decide to open it, something ignites not outside but inside. This something has been dormant since your birth. It is the spiritual fire at your root, the silent guardian of your body's temple. What you have discovered today is not a new technique. It is an ancient truth that resonates from the bones of the desert to the subterranean temples of the Himalayas. Entire cultures and traditions have dedicated their lives to understanding the hidden power of the human body, not out of originality, but because there, deep within, lies the highest potential, the divine paradox. The practice of root light breathing brings us back to this forgotten truth. The body is not an obstacle to the spirit, but its crucible. This sexual energy should not be repressed, but channeled with determination. This barrier, this small hinge between the visible and the invisible, is actually the switch of our ascending energy. If something you felt, breathed, or understood during this journey lit a spark within, you be sure to turn it off at the end of the video. True initiation begins when the screen turns off and, in the privacy of your living room or at noon, you decide to breathe differently. Not upward or outward, but inward and downward. For each breath coming from the root is an act of sovereignty, a silent vow to your soul, a reminder that you are not separate from Source. It was simply necessary to return to the point where the soul penetrates the body, and this point is the root. This fire does not burn like the external fire. It does not burn, it does not destroy. It transforms, it dissolves rigidity. It illuminates the shadow. It awakens the desire for love, and love transforms it into vision. And you don't need to have read sacred texts or visited distant temples. All you need is your body, your relaxation, and your desire to remember. So don't look outside for what burns quietly in the heart of your mind. Breathe in, feel, stretch, rise. Take advantage of each day to connect with your inner temple. For the world no longer needs theories. It needs radiant beings. No more dogmas, but more grounded and emerging people. More breathing, less fragmentation. More inner fire, less external noise. And you who have come this far will no longer be able to say you didn't know. You now know the path that leads from roots to light, and this knowledge will inspire determination. Thank you for allowing this wisdom to shine through you. If you feel this flame can inspire someone else, please share it. If you would like to further explore the mysteries of the spiritual body, sign up. And above all, breathe. From where it all begins to where it all returns, from the root to the light,